Railswest Railroad Museum is located on 1512 South Main Street in Council Bluffs, Iowa, and is open Thursdays through Saturdays, 11 to 4, and open the first Sunday of each month, 11 to 4. Also, the Railswest Railroad Museum has exhibits inside the Rock Island Depot building and a rail yard with trains you can check out and go inside and check out the interior and a lot of history to explore. Also, the Railswest Railroad Museum has an HO model railroad inside the building, and the HO model railroad is of Omaha and Council Bluffs from the old times of railroad history of what it was like in the past. The Rock Island Depot building was constructed in 1899 on the south edge of downtown Council Bluffs, Iowa. Today it is the last 19th century railroad depot still standing in Council Bluffs and is operated as a museum and model railroad display by the Historical Society of Pottawatomie County and the Greater Omaha Society of Model Engineers. Also, the depot was built for the Chicago, Rock Island, and Pacific Railroad, one of 15 rail lines serving Council Bluffs, Iowa. The last Rock Island passenger train pulled out of the depot on May 31st, 1970. March 31st, 1980 was the last day of operations for the Rock Island Railroad. Engineer Grenville M. Dodge surveyed the westward route of the Rock Island Railroad to Council Bluffs in 1853. Years later, Dodge would survey the route west from Council Bluffs that enabled the city to become the eastern terminus of the Transcontinental Railroad. The construction of the Transcontinental Railroad played a major role in the development of the Southwest Iowa and vice versa. The history of this era is well preserved in the depot and museum. It is the last survivor of a half-dozen passenger depots which at one time dotted the Council Bluffs landscape. In 1984, the Society of the Greater Omaha Society of Model Railroad Engineers joined forces with Council Bluffs to save one of the last remaining depots in Council Bluffs. In 1985, the city of Council Bluffs leased the depot to Society with instructions to restore the depot into a tourist attraction and an information center. Today, the Rock Island Depot is where railroad history is preserved and is the Railswest Museum in Council Bluffs, Iowa for all to enjoy and see.
Okay, what you see around me, this is the HO model railroad, so let me show you around.
The HO model railroad is located across from the men's side of the station at the Railswest Museum. This side is Omaha, and that's the Union Station, which is the Durham Museum. And yeah, there's a train called the Texas Special, Missouri, Kansas, Texas loco, and some cars say Frisco, and there's the grain elevator, the ADM grain elevator. There are some streamliners and SC units, or Jeeps. I think they're SCs. And sometimes you often see trains running on these tracks. And also, here's a train shed. There's a rotary snowplow, a Union Pacific Doodlebug. Here's the rail yard in Council Bluffs, and I believe there's the Beamer grain elevator, and there's a lot here. There's a diesel
diesel fuel station. Steam engines there. Oh yeah, water station. There's a cab forward. Also, there's a Rock Island Depot building. There's a farm and a hill and so much. I just like how well detailed they have this layout.
You see right behind you is Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy 915. Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy 915 was built by Burlington and Missouri River Shops in Havelock, Nebraska in 1902, and is the 44th steam locomotive built by that factory, and is a 460 10-wheeler type steam locomotive and is a K4 class steam locomotive. Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy 915 was originally numbered as and had the road name as Burlington and Missouri River 44 and was a coal burner, and then was one of several later converted to burn oil and fitted with 64-foot drivers for local and branch line work. Later, Burlington and Missouri River 44 was then renumbered and given the road name as Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy 715 and reconverted as a coal burner, and then in 1951 as Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy 915. Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy 915 was once used to haul freight and used for shunting and switching for the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy Railroad. And also, Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy 915 was then retired and donated to the city of Council Bluffs, Iowa, and displayed in Dodge Park in Council Bluffs, Iowa, with Union Pacific 814, the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy Omaha Club Car, and Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy Caboose 13855, and sat there till 2001, and then moved to the Railswest Museum to be part of the museum, and where they are all today. Also, Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy 915 is one of 5 surviving Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy 460s that survive today, and 915 can be seen here at the Railswest Railroad Museum in Council Bluffs, Iowa for display. And you can also check out the cab and even sit where the engineer and fireman used to sit, and even ring the locomotive's bell.
And that's how it's done. What you see right behind you is the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy Omaha Club Car.
The Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy Omaha Club Car, I believe, was built by the Pullman Company, and probably either somewhere in the 1920s or early 1930s. And this car is an observation lounge car. The Omaha Club Car ran on Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy Railroad between Chicago, Illinois, and Lincoln, Nebraska during the 1930s and 1940s. The carpeting, lamp shades, and furniture are original to the car. Some items have needed minor repair, and yet other items have been added to assist in the creating the mood of the 1940s. The Omaha Club Car was used as a lounge car purely for smoking, relaxing, or playing cards and getting a light meal. The passengers using this car would have had assigned seats elsewhere in the train. This changed due to a fuel shortage in World War II. At that time, the railroad was not allowed to use this car as only a social car. Also, the Omaha Club Car was then retired before going to Railswest. This car has has been put on display in Dodge Park with Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy 915, Union Pacific 814, Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy caboose 13855 till 2001. Then they all got moved to the Railswest Museum for display. Also, Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy's Omaha Club Car is seen here at Railswest today for display, and you can also check out the interior and see what's inside and see the original furniture in the club car as well.
What you see right behind me is Chicago, Burlington, Quincy 13855.
Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy 13855 was built in 1917 and is a one-way car cupola caboose. Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy 13855 was used as a train crew's office, conductor, and brakeman when used on the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy Railroad. Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy 13855 has a heated stove, has a wood stove that was heated, had the interior heated during cold weather, but it did have running water and a toilet that flushed onto the tracks between the rails or beside the rails. Also, Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy 13855 was retired, and before being part of Railswest, it sat in Dodge Park with Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy 915 and the Omaha Club Car and Union Pacific 814 till 2001, and then moved to the Railswest Museum where it is today. Also, Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy 13855 had been blank for in late 2011 to 2012. It got repainted and cosmetic work, and it had letters and numbers painted on, and looks like it is now like it was in the past. Also, since Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy 13855 got put on its final resting spot as here for display, you can also visit the interior of the caboose and see what's inside, what it looked like in the inside in the past, which it is today. Union Pacific 814 was built by Alco in Schenectady, New York in 1937. and is the 68,822nd steam locomotive built by that factory and is a 484 Northern type steam locomotive and is an FEF1 class steam locomotive. Union Pacific 814 was built to burn coal, but it was too expensive, but then 814 and all the other FEFs were converted to burn oil. Union Pacific 814 was used to haul freight on the Union Pacific Railroad and lived in Cheyenne, Wyoming, where it was normally stored, and even was used as a passenger engine for the Union Pacific Railroad. Union Pacific 814 also was retired between 1957 and 1962 and was also donated to the city of Council Bluffs, Iowa, but before 814 came to Railswest, Union Pacific 814 sat in Dodge Park with Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy 915 and the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy Omaha Club Car and Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy Caboose 13855 till 2001. Then all were moved to be on static display at the Railswest Museum for static display. Also, Union Pacific 814 is one of 4 surviving Union Pacific 484s that survive today. 4 Union Pacific FEFs for short that remain today. Union Pacific 814 can be seen here at Railswest Railroad Museum in Council Bluffs, Iowa for display, and also you can even check out the engine while you visit the museum and even climb into the cab and even sit where the engineer and fireman used to sit as well.
Right behind me is Union Pacific 462,536.
Union Pacific 462,536 was built as a single plug door boxcar, which it is currently, and is also is one of the several Union Pacific boxcars built. Union Pacific 462,536 was used in the past as part of freight trains as it hauled all kinds of cargo once hauled in the past, such as boxes, materials, and all kinds of different products boxcars usually haul, as this boxcar was used on the Union Pacific Railroad. Also, Union Pacific 462,536 was also then later on retired and then came to be part of the Railswest Railroad Museum in Council Bluffs, Iowa, where it is today on display today. Also, you'll even see on the boxcar on the side it says, "Ship and Travel, the Automated Railway."
Okay, you can see right here, this is a bell standing on a post, and it's next to the mail car, and also it's here on display for you to ring, so it's unknown which engine it came from, so let's see it ringing. That's how it's done.
What you see right behind me is Union Pacific 5908.
Union Pacific 5908 was built by the Budd Company in 1963 and is a railway post office car. Union Pacific 5908 was once painted in a Union Pacific scheme, I do believe, and it's currently painted in a stainless steel look. Also, Union Pacific 5908 was renumbered as Maintenance of Way 903690 in 1973. Also, Union Pacific 5908 was used as an RPO, Railway Post Office coach, when it was numbered as 5908, which it still is today. Also was used to deliver and sort mail on when train workers were on this coach sorting mail. Also, Union Pacific 5908 was then retired and then came to be part of the Railswest Railroad Museum in Council Bluffs, Iowa, and can be seen here on display, and you can even go inside the mail car and see the interior and can even pull the mail grabber up, and you can also pretend you're grabbing mail while the train is moving as well, but it's stationary though, and see how they sorted mail in the past as well.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed learning about trains with me today on Matthew Lapp's Train Guy segment show. Also, I hope to see you all again in the next segment. So, this is Matthew Lapp, host of Matthew Lapp Train Guy segment show, signing out until next time. All aboard!